All right, welcome back to another movie review. Once again, I have Ben Metcalf from 3 Minute Horror Reviews back. So subscribe to his channel if you haven't already, and subscribe to mine if you haven't already. We've been discussing the Hostel movie series. We did the first one last time, and now we're on to Hostel 2, which I believe came out 2007, a couple of years after the first one.
Yep.
And this one's a bit different. Instead of three young men as the main characters, this has three young women as the main characters. And in this one, we also get to see a little bit about how this evil elite hunting club works behind the scenes. So why don't you take it away, Ben, and introduce us to Hostel 2?
So Hostel 2, as Brandon mentioned, kind of gender flips the protagonists in this one. The protagonists are three young women. They're played by Lauren German from Lucifer. So she's the main character detective lady in the Lucifer series. Bijou Phillips, wife of disgraced that 70s show actor Danny Masterson. Yuck. And Heather Matazzaro, I believe, is the third one. Now, she's interesting because if you were a kid who grew up in the 80s or 90s, she was a child actress back then. So you would recognize her from being in things when she was younger. And now she's in this when she's older. Now, they are in an art class. So they're drawn women, and I believe that they are in Rome. Is it? I don't remember where it is that they were. They're in Italy. Yeah, they're in Italy, drawing pictures of naked ladies. Okay. Now, the naked lady model says, "Hey, listen, you guys, you got to go on this elite spa retreat with me. It's a luxurious spa retreat, and it's in Bratislava." Okay, which is your first red flag. She's taking them to Bratislava. They're checking into the exact same hostel that that the boys from the first movie did. Same thing happens to them, except this time we see it in the respect that we see the hostel owners or operators who work for the Elite Hunting Club take the passports, scan them in, and put them up for auction on the web. And we also get introduced to some of the people from the United States who are bidding on these people to the tune of two guys. One is named Todd and one is named Stuart. And Todd and Stuart both suck. Brandon, what do you think of Todd and Stuart?
Oh, they're such awesome guys. Yeah, I think they're perfect for this movie.
Yeah,
And I touched on it in our last review of the first movie, but
yeah,
it's weird that the methods they use to lure the people are different. Like with the
yeah,
guys, they're lured with the prospect of sex. Hey, there's all these hot girls in Slovakia, so
yeah,
go there. With the women, they first of all some creepy guy like robs them, and then there's these like very creepy, aggressive Italian guys that are creeping on them on the
yeah.
train. So this the model that you mentioned, she's on the train too, and she's like,
Right.
you know what, like if you're traveling around Europe and you're women by yourself, you're gonna have all these guys after you. Come with me, and I'll keep you away from them. We'll go to
Yeah,
this place where creepy guys won't hit on you. So the method of luring them is a bit different, but either way, it's some sort of ruse to get them to this particular hostel in Slovakia. And yeah, Todd, I guess, first of all, before we get into Todd, I want to bring
yeah.
up the one part of this movie that I hate
Okay.
is the whole opening part, the whole like first 10 minutes or so. First of all, not only do we
Oh,
open,
I missed that. Shit.
yeah, we see Paxton. It kind of
Yeah,
picks up where Paxton has just escaped in the first movie, and he's in the hospital, and he's been telling the police, the investigators,
yeah,
about this business, and all of a sudden he finds out that this policewoman he's talking to like, is part of the club, and
yeah,
they're going to kill him. And all of a sudden he wakes up, and it's a dream. And it's
yeah,
like, come on, we talked about this in our. I don't think it's gone live yet, but the Halloween 2 review
right.
with Rob Zombie, how
Yeah,
opening a movie with a dream sequence is really annoying. Not only that, but then we cut back to Paxton. He's actually escaped. He's gone back to the United States, and he's living his life with his girlfriend or wife or whoever, like kind of like normal.
hmm,
And then all of a sudden, his girlfriend gets up one day to find he's been beheaded
yeah,
and he's dead because the Elite Hunting Club has somehow reached out, traveled to America, killed him, and they bring his head back to Sasha, who's this like older business guy who is the owner of the Elite Hunting Club. They
yeah,
bring Paxton's head to him back in Slovakia. And I hate that part because I don't buy it. they should have made part two it should have just taken place either before the first movie or just
Yeah.
not mentioned it. Because the thing is, if Paxton went back to the United States, he would have been telling everyone what happened to him.
Yeah.
And the thing is, the United States, they do have a lot of power on the international scene.
Hmm.
And if they found out that there was a country luring American tourists and killing them, there would be hell to pay.
Yeah.
At the very least, like they would have just blown the whole thing open and no one would travel to Slovakia anymore. But it's just like he never mentioned it to anybody.
Except
And
his
like,
girlfriend, who told him that
but when,
he was crazy.
but he was missing. Like he got two fingers chopped off. Like he's
Yeah.
obviously been traumatized and mutilated.
And his friend
Like
is
she would
gone.
have, yeah, wouldn't his friend's family be like, hey, what the
Yeah.
hell's happened to our friend? And the guy from Iceland government would have been looking into it. And I
Yeah.
just it's so I think it's better, it's more scary that the Sasha and the Elite Hunting Club, they don't have this international power where they can reach out to anyone anywhere. Like they're not
Yeah.
that big, they're not that powerful. They're just in their own little neck of the woods. They have this secret thing going on. I think it's kind of better like that. So after the first time I watched the movie,
Yeah.
I've skipped the opening part every time because it's almost at the point of like ruining the movie for me. Like it just starts it off on such a bad note.
Yeah.
But if you ignore that and then get into it, then it turns into be actually pretty good.
Yeah. And we do see Paxton's head later. So you're wondering what happened to Paxton's head? We'll see it later and we'll talk about when we get to that point. But Paxton's head does show up. Paxton's head does a cameo later.
But now
So
that you
there,
mentioned
yeah.
you mentioned Todd and Stewart, so yeah,
Yeah.
I wasn't sure. I'm still not exactly sure. Like, are these guys brothers or they're just friends? I don't know if it ever says. I
I
think they're
think they're
probably
just
just friends.
pals. I think they're buddies.
But it's weird because like Todd is the big tough guy. He's
Yeah.
like a foot taller than his friend. He's just like the big kind of macho guy. Stewart's kind of a smaller, nerdier kind of
Yeah.
guy. For whatever reason, they're friends, and it basically seems like Todd talked Stewart into coming on this trip. Stewart's a bit more hesitant. He's like, I don't know if I want to do it. Whereas
Yeah.
Todd's like, fuck yeah, man, let's do this.
Yeah. We got to kill
And you cut
somebody.
back
Yeah.
and forth. So we cut back and forth between. We see the two guys and we see how the business operates.
Yeah.
And they get a little timer, like those things you get at a restaurant that vibrates and blinks
Yeah.
red when your table's ready. They get one of those because it takes the Elite Hunting. And we have to somehow lure these women to this place to get tortured. So it's like once we get that done, we'll let you know when it happens. And we cut between them and we cut between the three women and their what happens to them and their travels as they're slowly getting lured. And again,
Yeah.
it's kind of like the first movie where you don't know who's good and who's bad.
Yeah.
One of the girls, the Heather Marizano, she
Yeah.
gets lured away by some Russian guy who
Mhm.
she thinks is like cute or whatever. But then Bijou Phillips, she kind of gets lured away by another guy, but he's not in on it. He's just some guy that's looking to get laid
Yeah.
or whatever. So you don't
And then
know like who's involved and who's not.
Yeah, exactly. Um, the guy who plays Stewart is his name is Roger Bart. And if you haven't seen the movie, folks at home, first of all, why are you listening to this if you haven't already seen the movie? Because we're going to spoil the shit out of it. But second of all, he looks like kind of like Mark Duplass, the guy who was the creep in the movie, in the Creep movies. He looks kind of like dollar store Mark Duplass, this Roger Bart character. And yes, he is sniveling and he is a real piece of shit. And we'll get into it more as we go, but that guy sucks. But the first person to, so they're lured to by the hostel owners. They tell them, okay, you got to come to this harvest festival. It's going to be a sexy good time, right? Come to this harvest festival, and that's where they pick up the first girl, the Heather. I can't remember her last Matt. She's going to be so mad if she watches this, but she won't watch this, so that's fine. She gets picked up, and she wakes up like she's drugged. She wakes up already in the process of being tortured and killed. And there's some Elizabeth Bathory type character who's taking a bath in her blood. So she's below her and she's got this scythe and she's just cutting strips in this poor lady. And her blood is just coming down on her and this Bathory type character is bathing in the blood. I thought it was pretty effective. I thought that was pretty neat. You know, Elizabeth Bathory. It's far better than the one that Glenn Danzig, the Elizabeth Bathory character that Glenn Danzig put in his Veronica anthology. I can tell you that much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so as we see, like Heather Marizano, she gets
Yeah.
killed. The other two get lured,
Yeah.
And then we see the Todd and his buddy Stewart
Yeah.
getting closer, and they go to the Harvest Festival too.
Yeah.
And Stewart actually has a quick conversation with the girl that he's gonna kill.
Yeah. He's
Of
playing with
course,
his
the girls don't
food.
know. So we see them as they go through the process. And it's kind of interesting to see behind the scenes how they
Yeah.
the killers that paid to be there, they get to choose their weapons. They get dressed or whatever, and then they go into these rooms.
Yeah.
And as we find out, the rule is like you have to kill someone.
Yeah.
If you don't, you're in big trouble, because
You're dead.
probably
Yeah.
is, like, if you back out, you have something over them that you could rat them out about. Whereas if you kill someone, you're complicit. So if you try to rat out this organization, well, you're going to prison for murder anyway.
Yeah.
So as we find out, Todd, the guy that's been hardcore about this the whole time, the tough guy,
Yeah.
he starts torturing Bijou Phillips, and as soon as he cuts her, all of a sudden he's horrified by it, and he's just kind of like, oh my God. Turns out he's not as tough as he thought. He tries to flee, and the guards are like, hey, like, finish. You got to finish. And he's like, fuck you, and tries to run away. So they sick the dogs on him, and
they tear him apart. He's dead.
Stewart is the guy that was acting like he was hesitant. He was the nice guy.
Yeah.
Right? He was the one that you thought, oh, he's going to turn out to be a hero. He won't do it because he was being so friendly to Lauren, the girl he was going to kill. Or Beth is her character name.
Beth, yeah, Beth.
And then we find out, no, he's the real evil one. And
he's the misogynistic incel guy,
yeah. And even in I watched Eli Roth's commentary, and he said, like, the opening scene where we first see Stewart, we just see, it doesn't seem like much. We see him, he's like eating breakfast with his wife and his daughter.
Yeah.
And then the school bus pulls up or whatever, and his wife, they just leave without even saying goodbye. They just like walk away.
Yeah.
So kind of hinting like they have no respect for him or whatever, probably his own damn fault. Yeah. So it turns out, he's got some hidden misogynistic tendencies that come out. And of course, Beth turns the tables on him. She uses that, picks up on that, and twists things around to her advantage. And
oh boy, does she ever!
Stewart ends up getting killed in the last way that a man wants to be killed, and we'll just leave it at that. I'm sure you can imagine.
She cuts his ding dong off, folks. She cuts it right off. He was being nice. She cuts it right off. But before that happens, Bijou Phillips is not completely helpless in the respect that she manages to bite the nose off of somebody, which was pretty gnarly in its own. The guy who was trying to make her up for old Todd.
Oh my God, that was a woman. That was a scary
woman. Sorry, I missed that up. So she bites this lady's nose off, and then Todd comes in. He grabs the power saw. He cuts her. He cuts her pretty bad too. But immediately he's like, "Oh no, this isn't for me." And somebody has to die. So they sick the dogs on him. Then Stewart comes in and finishes the job. He beheads Bijou Phillips. He cuts her head right off. But then Lauren German, Beth, does turn the tables on Stewart in the end. She completely obliterates his ding dong and his twig and berries, feeds them to the dogs, as Brandon mentioned, and recognized for her extreme efforts in doing a gnarly, disgusting kill, she ends up getting an elite hunting club tattoo. She's part of the crew now. Holy smoke. She doesn't even have to pay.
Because that was the only way she's getting out of there alive.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the movie ends with her getting revenge on the model who lured them there in the first place. She gets revenge on them. And also the Bubblegum Kids, they make a return in this one. And we see a little bit more how it works.
Didn't the Bubblegum Kids kill the nude model?
They kick her head around. After her head is severed, they start kicking her around with a soccer ball.
Yeah.
But we see them because as Heather is trying to escape at one point, the Bubblegum Kids trip her and they start kicking her and beating her up. And then Sasha, the head guy of the Elite Hunting Club, approaches them and he's like, leave her alone, she's mine.
Yeah.
And in return, he just holds up one finger, and the Bubblegum Kids grab one of their own, shove them forward, and then Sasha kills one of them.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, hey, you mess with me, I'm going to kill one of you guys. But I think the way I see it is that Sasha sees the potential in them, because even though they're all 8 to 10, 12 years old. Like
Yeah.
they're very young, but they are organized and they're violent. So he sees that, in 8, 10 years,
Yeah.
they're going to be men, and he'll recruit his guards from these
Yeah.
kids.
They're like
So
the farm team.
he kind of lets them operate their little
Mhm.
intimidating people for money operation, as long as they don't screw with his operation. And if he does, he keeps them in line by being willing to kill them. So they have
Yeah.
this like uneasy truce, which I just find interesting.
Yeah. Treats them like the farm team. He's going to recruit from them as they get older.
Yeah, exactly.
Hmm.
And it's also, there is like a kind of a theme in this movie of like ugly people versus good looking people kind of thing,
Yeah.
where and even Heather Marizano, she says at one point, because she meets this guy Roman, this Russian
Hmm.
guy, and he looks like he's like in a heavy metal band or something. Like he's big, he's got like long hair,
Yeah.
but she finds him attractive, and Beth is kind of like, don't go off with this guy, and she's like, why? Like, you don't find him attractive?
Hmm.
Um, and also there's a guy that approaches Beth at the Harvest Festival, asks her to
Yeah.
dance, and he's kind of an ugly looking dude,
Yeah.
but he's there. He's trying to warn them what's going on.
Yeah.
So he comes up and is like, "Hey, do you want to dance?" He's kind of like, "Come talk to me. I have to warn you." But she's like, "No, no, thank you."
Don't they kill that guy too?
Yeah, you see him driving away later. She goes to him for help, and he's all like bruised up, and he's
Right.
like,
Right.
"Hey,"
Right.
he's like, "Fuck off." He's like, "I tried to help you. You didn't listen." And so there is that kind of thing. And even when Stewart's talking to Heather at the Harvest Festival, he kind of makes a self-deprecating joke like, "Oh, you wouldn't talk to an ugly guy like me," and she's
Yeah.
like, "You're not that ugly." Kind of like so there is that kind of thing where they they knew that Heather Marizano, maybe
Hmm.
she's less attractive than Beth, so they're
Yeah.
like, Roman would never be able to lure Beth away, but he could lure Heather away. So there is that kind of, if you pay attention, that kind of undertone to it.
Yeah. For sure. This was the oh, there was also another cameo in this one. So we had Takashi Miike in the last one. In this one, we have Ruggero Deodato, the guy who directed Cannibal Holocaust in the
Yeah,
70s. He plays a
he's a cannibal.
cannibal hunter. Yeah, exactly. Who's eating a guy. Oh, look, this guy's eating a guy. It's Ruggero Deodato. So,
Must be nice being Eli Roth, and once you get to that point where you're kind of popular and big enough that you can
yeah.
make a movie and then just have all your favorite actors and horror directors appear in the movie, so you can meet them.
Yeah. And he's also got the Tarantino connection, right? Because Tarantino was the executive producer of both of
Yeah,
these, the first two. Yeah. And this was the last one that Eli Roth was involved in. So he was
yeah,
involved in one and two. From what I understand, this one didn't do very well at the box office, and people really don't like it for some reason, and I don't know why.
yeah. I don't get it. I think it's better than the first one.
So do
Other
I.
than that opening scene,
Hmm.
which I hate,
Yeah.
but if you ignore that, I think it's a little bit better. It's my favorite of the two. I like how you see more behind the scenes, and I
Yeah.
get it that in the first movie they want to keep how this business operates a secret for
Yeah.
just to make tension for the movie. But once you get to the second one, the secret's out because everyone would have seen the first movie, so
Yeah.
everyone knows what's going to happen. So I like how they show like, how does this operate? Like, if you were on the
Mhm.
other side and you weren't a victim, you were the killer. Like,
Yeah.
how would this work? And they show everything from you could just bid on these victims on your phone, and then if you win, they travel there, they put you up in a hotel, and they give you the
Yeah.
little beeper thing, and they let you pick the weapons, and it's kind of nice just to see how it operates behind the scenes.
Hmm. Yeah. I really liked it. What would you rate this one?
I guess, well, if I gave the last one a 7.5, I guess I'd have to give this one an 8.
Hmm.
But I almost want to give it also 7.5, but a
Yeah.
better 7.5.
Okay. Well, I actually gave this one an 8. I liked it better than the first one. And I liked
Okay.
I felt that the ending, although the ending of the first one was satisfying, apart from her joining the club, which made sense in the end because it's the only way she would have got out alive. Um, I really liked the ending of this one. Stewart was the worst, and I loved the fact that he got his just desserts in the end, and that he'll never be going home to bother anybody ever again.
Now that you mentioned just the way their characters changed, I mentioned it
Yeah.
in the first one how the guys started off as these just annoying pricks.
Yeah.
But as time went on, you got to see more of the human side of him. You kind of grew to like him. So they
Hmm.
did that kind of with Stewart too. Like for the most part, you kind of like him because he seems like he's the guy that's a bit more hesitant. He's
Yeah.
not just like the selfish jerk that is his bigger, taller, tougher buddy
Yeah.
is. But at the end, all of a sudden you're like, wow, this guy is a super piece of shit. Like he's way
Yeah.
bigger piece of shit than Todd was. So they're kind of good at changing
Yeah.
the
Because
nature of the characters.
the way it was going up to the point, even when he met her and was talking to her at the harvest fair, you kind of think that this is going to be the guy who sets them free somehow. Like this is going to
Yeah,
be the
yeah,
guy who's
exactly.
on their side. But
Yeah,
no, not at all. Stewart
no, he ends
sucks.
up. Yeah, so yeah, I like that. Is you kind of never know what to expect, so they do pull some good twists in it, and it's just I don't know. Yeah, and then the ending's satisfying. It's kind of like in the
Yeah.
first movie, the scene where Paxton like runs down the two
Yeah.
girls and that creepy guy with the car and then
Yeah.
backs over their head. You just want to see them get what's coming to them,
Yeah.
and in this one, you get to see the model.
Yeah.
Can't remember her name off the top of my head, but you get to see her get decapitated, and it's funny because earlier on when she first kidnaps Beth, like they bring her
Mhm.
back to the house where she's supposed to be safe, and all of a sudden she discovers like the severed heads and is like, "Oh my god, I'm in trouble." She tries to escape,
Yeah.
and as she's coming down the stairs, she sees the bad guys coming in to get her, and then the model just like looks at her and gives her this kind of like shrug, kind of like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
gotcha." So it's kind of like "fuck you, bitch" at the end where she just like cuts her head off with the scythe, and then
Yeah.
it's like, yeah,
You
she gets
reminded me there when we talked about when I said we'd see Paxton's head come up again. Yes, when Beth does think that she's escaped and she's in Sasha's house, there is a wall of heads that is very, very funny. Like it's a very when you look at it, when you see it on the screen, you'll it made me laugh when I saw it because I thought it was so silly. But he's got a wall full of severed heads, and Paxton's head is one of them. So yeah, there's a little cameo by Paxton's head a bit later.
and I believe that's where we see Eli Roth's head as well. We saw
Yeah,
him
but
in
I
the
missed that one.
yeah, he was in the first movie. He was a
Yeah.
scene in the background of
Mhm.
one of the marijuana cafes or whatever.
Yeah.
So this was a very well done movie. I would have loved to see a third one by Eli Roth, but we'll get
Yeah.
into the third one in our
Yeah.
next review.
That's right.
Um, which we'll talk about soon. So thanks for watching, everyone, and we'll see you next time.